We are the keepers of the flame, the sacred order. Let the ceremony begin. And today, faithful acolytes, we take a look at this. And what this is from Bumblefoot, it is the Bumblicious hot sauce. And so this was, when this first came out, it was one of the Cajuns lineup, and I think they just separated everything out for branding. The Alice Cooper vanity sauces were another good example of this. And this one's been around for quite a while, so I'm presuming that 2013, so I'm presuming the branding is working. Let's take a look at the ingredient panel. We have here brown sugar, distilled vinegar, tomato paste, sweet cherries, bourbon, water, chipotle powder, salt, black pepper, natural smoke flavoring, xanthan gum, and allspice. So this reminds me a lot of the bourbon infused chipotle habanero, the black black cherry vanilla flavor. There's a review for that if you're interested. That was the first thing that struck me as, and this one we don't have the suggestion. Oh, yep. Okay, so this, not to put too fine of a point on it, but this is complete bullshit. Nobody drinks this from the bottle. Look. Look at how thick this is. How the hell are you going to drink this from the bottle? This is thicker than most barbecue sauces. So from a consistency standpoint, there's no way. But honestly, that's a stupid idea. So, like, who name a person that regularly drinks this as part of a non-stunt thing from the bottle? This stuff on labels, it irritates me far more than it should, obviously. But this kind of stuff, it's like, nails on chalkboard. Just, I intensely dislike it. With a lot of vanity sauces, though, I wouldn't say this is a straight across relabel. One of the main differences versus that chipotle habanero sauce I mentioned is there is no habanero in this. The main heat driver is chipotle, which means that heat is non-existent in this sauce, in this hot sauce. So, when does a hot sauce stop becoming a hot sauce and just become a sauce, right? That's the question that we all have to ask ourselves. This is also a lot thicker than the bourbon infused chipotle habaneros, either one of them, and I think it probably is a modification of that recipe more than a new sauce, if I had to guess. I don't know. I haven't done every single sauce Cajun has ever made, and he's very, very, very prolific with sauces. So that would be, it's not even a goal of mine. It's just, a lot of the times you use onions and stuff, and I am not having that. Extracts as well. Also, unless there's a pressing reason, I really don't enjoy those sauces, so I try to steer clear of those. But, okay, so taking this as more of a barbecue sauce, look at how thick this is. This is not, like, drinkable. I really feel like you would probably choke and gag if you attempted this, because this is very, like, do you drink barbecue sauce? Do you drink ketchup? Look, this is thick along those lines. If I flip it over, I'm going to spill on the table. It's not that thick, but this is definitely one of the thicker sauces that I've come across. No question about that. All right, but yeah, it's a really pretty color. I mean, it looks like a barbecue sauce to me. I think that's really what it's modeled after, you know, if I'm being honest here. So, all right, let's just get on into the taste. All right. So it's there's a graininess to it, and I feel that's probably the brown sugar. This tastes more or less like a barbecue sauce. It's a lot less smoky than I thought it was going to be, actually. No heat at all to it. The bourbon actually reads through pretty significantly in this sauce, and the cherry comes in as well. I don't love this sauce by itself. So, staying with the bourbon infused chipotle habanero for a second, the bitch sauces as I call them. Those sauces I don't really enjoy as sauces. To me, they're worlds better as grilling sauces. Barbecue I don't normally eat regularly either, but I do like putting on the grill and having it in that manner, you know. So I don't like overly, as much as I like sweet hot sauces, I really don't like this sort of thing where there's some granules of the sugar and the bourbon is dialed up. So for me, these sauces work way better as grill sauces, and that's what I did with this one. And honestly, probably after this video, we'll do with the rest of these. I don't love this as a sauce. I think it's almost an overly sweet barbecue sauce for me, with elements of the bourbon that I think are a bit too forward. But so there it is, a nice grilled pork chop here. I went with the thicker cut. I went with boneless, of course. Fried the edges here of the fat a little bit. So I try to do this actually. I leave the cap on it, and I try to get it, because sometimes if you do it right, you can get a little bit of a pork crackling aspect to it, which I like. And if you don't, you can just cut it off later. So you see a little bit of scorching here. This I don't think quite made it to where I wanted, so let's just trim that off right now.
And get some meat with it. Let's see if we can separate that a little bit here. There.
One of the things I do like about this over the other ones is that with the thick nature of it, it tends to cling to food quite a bit better. I will say, most of the time with the other ones, I put them on chicken. In my view, that works better. I haven't actually tried it with pork before now, but trying it with pork here, I don't love this. Oh my goodness. Oh. Putting the live sauce on it's a mistake. I mean, it's a really pretty decent grill sauce though. I think these chops might be a bit thick for the sauce, but it is caramelized a little bit. It's knocked off a lot of that sort of bourbony aspect to it, as well as the graininess. I mean, drinking hot sauce, back to that. Yeah, drinking hot sauce to me is just like a strange idea. I don't know why you would do that. Hot sauce as a beverage is just a funky idea. But this is also saying it's good enough to consume it in that manner. No, it certainly is not. In a lot of ways, this basically amounts to a very expensive barbecue sauce. So, most barbecue sauces are going to come in 12 ounce, maybe larger bottles, sometimes 16. This is 5 ounces for $10. So, $2 an ounce. Now, if you were to apply that, your barbecue sauce is now costing you between $24 and $32 for a bottle of it. Which barbecue sauce out there do you love that much? I've had the Kinder Farms of it, Bullseye of it, everything else. Kinder Farms is a bit expensive. That gets closer to 7 to 8 a bottle. Still below 10. 7 to 8 a bottle. And that's one of the more expensive ones. In what world would I ever pay $24 to $32 for a bottle of hot sauce? Like a normal size bottle? I don't know. It's not this one though. Yeah, this stuff is just, I don't like it by itself. So 100%, this is going to be hitting the grill. I am gonna do up some chicken with it. I don't think it works super great on pork and on pork chops anyway. And I think that really comes down to the way that those two meats tend to cook. With chops, you have this huge flat surface area on two sides of it. And that tends to be where the oils and stuff tend to surface, and it pushes off. It's still stuck fairly well, don't get me wrong, but that tends to push off a lot of the flavor. With chicken, at least with the thighs that I do, you have a lot less of a flat surface. So you have basically dissimilar sort of shapes to it. You know, they're not congruent to each other necessarily. They're just disproportionate. You know, you have this section, then you have all these kind of nooks and crannies where you can stuff the sauce and it's not going to get out, and it will just sit there and caramelize and make these little pockets of flavor. The irregular surface of chicken thighs, which is about the only thing I ever do on the grill, is I think a lot more conducive to this type of sauce for the effect that I want. I want the Maillard effect. I want the caramelization. That's really where sauces like this are going to shine. This, for instance, I think would make a brilliant mop sauce on ribs. You know, throw it on at the last half an hour or so, where it can blend in with the rub, and it can get that caramelization going. There's tons of sugar in this thing. This caramelizes fairly well, and it's better that way. That's where this really shines. But that also brings up another problem. The same problem as the other sauces I mentioned. Namely, last little bit was chewy there. But namely, it is the fact that I'm not judging these as hot sauces. As hot sauces, all three of them are honestly kind of poor, this included. As grill sauces, they work way, they're quite nice. I like them a lot. The original bourbon infused chipotle habanero for quite a while was one of my favorite grill sauces. When it was in flasks, I used to give that away as gifts to people for, holidays and stuff like that. I would have a very, very unique gift that I could rely on to give to people, and I would say, here, this is something you should use as a grilling sauce. This is really where it's best. I mean, some people like it outside of that, whatever. I don't care. Once it's out of my hands, they can do whatever they want with it. Pour it on themselves, take a bath, whatever. But, one of them actually used it to roast a turkey, which I thought was a pretty novel use. And, it was a family of 5, 2 adults and 3 kids, and they all really, really enjoyed it. So I think it was very accessible in that context. By itself, though, a lot of these are just not the cat's pajamas, and they don't make great hot sauces. Does a barbecue sauce make a great hot sauce? Not for me. It might for some people. Some of the spicier ones, and they might say, "Oh, this is just as bitey as a hot sauce," but it isn't. It's a barbecue sauce, and I really think this is a category more so that this and those other 2 sauces kind of belong in. Not necessarily barbecue sauce, but a grill sauce where it performs the best is with some heat, where you can caramelize stuff and you can cook out some of the less desirable elements, like the way that the way that the bourbon reads across in this. I don't find, and the other 2 as well, not to this effect though, I don't find favorable. I think the modifications too, it's kind of interesting. Those sauces didn't have this specific profile, and I think the loss of the habanero, oddly enough, is sort of to the detriment of the sauce. Certainly in terms of heat, there's no heat to be had here. This is, you can buy Chipotle barbecue sauces. It's not like, Chipotle is setting anybody on fire. So, number of different issues with this sauce, I guess. But I've had the Bumblicious, at least this one, and I think maybe the other one of his other ones, on the hit list for a while. And this one, I'm finally getting to I'm finally getting to some of those that I've had on the list almost as long as the blog has been running. There's just so much stuff, and so when I buy stuff, I tend to buy things based on what excites me at the time. And usually any shopping trip to Burn Your Tongue, for instance, and you can go directly there. There's a link in the description below. There's a link on the blog. But usually my trip to there will be anywhere from, 18 to 24 sauces every single time I go there. So this one, finally, there was on that particular day, there was either sauces I'd covered, or there wasn't ones that were jumping out at me and, saying, pick me. It was, I go in with the list. I printed off literally a physical list every time I've gone for like the last, several years. And this one I finally got to. There wasn't enough other stuff in the way. So, but consider this one where the bourbon infused chipotle habanero from Cajon's, and it is a pretty solid grill sauce. It is not, as a hot sauce, it definitely is wanting, and we'll leave it there. So there it is, the Bumblefoot's Bumblicious hot sauce. Now go forth in peace to serve the flame.